In Texas, recovery efforts are underway following. In response to the tragedy, President Donald Trump has signed a major disaster declaration for Kerr County, a move that officially activates the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA. In a statement, the president said the declaration would ensure that first responders immediately have the resources they need. He also praised the U.S. Coast Guard and state responders, noting they have saved more than 850 lives. However, as federal aid begins to flow into the state, a sharp political battle is erupting in Washington. Democrats and other critics are pointing fingers directly at the Trump administration, linking the scale of the disaster to recent policy decisions. A central point of contention is the administration's budget cuts to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and its subsidiary, the National Weather Service. Critics argue these cuts have critically impacted storm prediction capabilities nationwide. Washington's Democratic Governor Jay Inslee suggested that the president's efforts to roll back green energy funding are a contributing factor to more frequent and intense natural disasters. The White House has forcefully pushed back, with a spokesperson calling the immediate politicization of the tragedy shameful and disgusting. The administration insists that claims about the National Weather Service have been repeatedly debunked, stating that the agency did its job and issued a flood watch more than 12 hours in advance. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem acknowledged some of the concerns during a press conference. She noted that the nation's flood notification technology is, in her words, ancient, but stated that the Trump administration is currently in the process of upgrading it. She also emphasized the unpredictable nature of the storm, comparing it to Hurricane Harvey, where a weather system stalled and delivered far more water than anticipated. While the debate over preparedness continues, the focus on the ground remains on the search and rescue operations and supporting the families affected by this immense tragedy. Back in Washington, that debate is unfolding in the wake of a separate monumental legislative battle that consumed Capitol Hill and pushed lawmakers to their limits. President Trump's big, beautiful bill, a massive tax and spending package, was passed just hours before the July 4th holiday, but only after a chaotic and protracted process that tested the very concept of congressional clock management. The journey to passage was a labyrinth of delays and high-stakes maneuvering. The process, which Republicans had hoped to wrap up weeks ago, intensified in the final days. In the Senate, a key procedural vote to simply begin debate, initially planned for a Wednesday, was delayed until late Saturday evening. That vote, scheduled to take 15 minutes, stretched for nearly 4 hours as Republican leadership, with Vice President J.D. Vance on standby, worked to secure enough support to proceed. Following that vote, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer employed a tactic to slow the process further, compelling Senate clerks to read the entire 940-page bill aloud from the dais. The reading took nearly 16 straight hours, with clerks' voices growing hoarse as they concluded on Sunday afternoon. The drama then shifted to the so-called vote-a-rama, a marathon session of amendment votes that began Monday morning and ran through the night into Tuesday. After an all-night session, the bill finally passed the Senate with a 51-50 vote, requiring Vice President Vance to be present to break the tie. The bill then moved to the House, where the chaos only escalated. A technical error in the legislative text forced a vote on a correction, which leaders held open for a record-breaking 7 hours and 31 minutes to buy time to persuade skeptical Republican members. At one point, the entire Capitol waited for Representative Scott Perry of Pennsylvania to drive back from his home state to cast a crucial vote in the early hours of the morning. With the final vote approaching, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries took the floor. In a final act of opposition, he spoke for 8 hours and 45 minutes, shattering the previous record for the longest House speech. The House finally passed the bill late Thursday afternoon by a narrow margin of 200. 218 Idomorchinaren Sauren Heido 18 to 214, sending it to the president's desk. After that grueling marathon, supporters are now championing its contents. House Speaker Mike Johnson, who ceremoniously handed the president the gavel at the signing, appeared on Sunday to defend the legislation, calling it jet fuel for the economy. He forcefully dismissed Democratic criticisms that the bill is a giveaway to the wealthy as old, tired talking points. Johnson stressed that the package makes the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent, which he claims primarily targeted lower and middle-income Americans. He argued that the new megabill expands on those benefits by cutting taxes on tips, overtime pay, and for seniors. Citing the Council of Joint Economic Advisors, Johnson projected the bill will spur 3% economic growth, create 4 million new jobs, and increase the average household's take-home pay by $13,000. He told voters to expect more take-home pay and more job opportunities, predicting that Republicans will be riding an economic high into the 2026 midterm elections. Beyond the tax cuts, the Speaker highlighted other major provisions within the 940-page bill. He stated that the legislation will secure the border permanently, return the country to American energy dominance, and make important investments in the military-industrial complex to aid in competition with China. Speaker Johnson also teased that this bill is just the first step in a three-tier strategy, with plans to pass a second reconciliation bill by the fall and a third by next spring. But the bill's passage, celebrated by Republican leadership, is already creating new political fractures among the president's allies. In a surprising development, Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla and a former special government employee in the Trump White House, has announced the formation of a new political party. Musk, who had become a vocal ally of President Trump and led a task force on government efficiency, revealed on Saturday that he was breaking with the president over the passage of the megabill. In a post on X, the social media platform he owns, Musk declared his intentions. He wrote, quote, "When it comes to bankrupting our country with waste and graft, we live in a one-party system, not a democracy." He followed up by announcing, quote, "Today the America Party is formed to give you back your freedom." The move marks a significant split, turning a high-profile ally who worked inside the administration into a political organizer in opposition to the president's signature legislative achievement.